Ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much indeed for joining this 9th session of SkillsFest25 this week. 9 of 11. Sounds a bit Star Trek-y, actually. There used to be a character called 7-Eleven, I think there was, but maybe that's a store. Anyway, really good to have you on board. I'm Jonathan Ledger, Skills and Professional Bodies Specialist at the Department for Business and Trade. And I also work with the UK Skills Partnership very closely, which is a voluntary collective of skills and training organisations and professional bodies that operate around the globe. And we act as the front door in terms of promotion and access to the UK Skills Network. We've had a really good set of sessions up to date, and I have no doubt that today will be just as exciting and actually really diverse. So I'm really pleased that everybody's been able to join us. So we've got Cardiff and Vale College and Dragonfly training represented by Jakob and Werdelin. And we've got City and Guilds with Alan Howard. Lovely to have you here. Angel Gani from CENIT College, Amarjit Dhanjal from OCN London. And of course, we have Isaac Olubitan. Is that correct? Am I saying that right?
Olubitan.
Okay, I'm going to leave your surname to you. From the Chartered Insurance Institute. So you can see we've got a real good mix of people. And we're not going to waste any time. It's going to be straight over to Jakob. And Jakob, this is your chance for your 15 minutes. Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Just so you know, while you're loading up, Jakob, we are going to have all the questions go into the chat if you don't mind, and we'll have a Q&A session at the end. And if you want to put your contact details into the Teams chat, that would be fantastic, because that gives us a chance and our colleagues online to be able to connect with you, but also other colleagues that are watching the presentation. Please, put your contact details in, because you can network amongst each other.
Will do.
Jakob, over to you.
So welcome to the show, as it were. I'm Jakob Werdelin. I'm one of the trainers in the British Teaching Diploma. And what we're aiming for here is exactly what it says on the tin. So we are looking for something that everybody can pay for around the world, Global South. We are looking for a really innovative delivery, the implementation, the assessment approach, and then based on Dragonfly Training's vast stock of experienced trainers. We've been at this for, I think, like 25 years or something. So there's a lot that goes into this. So I'll just give you like a little walkthrough. And essentially, I'll demonstrate some of what we're doing. So if I give you this next slide here, where I present the big challenge, one of the linchpins, I want to show you what this is about. One of the linchpins of the British Teaching Diploma is introducing cognitive load theory. And one of the core tenets is that you don't want to overwhelm the working memory of the learner. So in that case, that would be you. Now, by reading out slides, you're splitting the pupil's attention so that he's trying to listen and he's trying to read at the same time, and you're overloading him. Yeah, you're splitting the attention between the visual and the auditory input. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put a text on the screen, and I'm going to give you some time to read it, and then I'll make some comments. So we are making sure that we don't overload the working memory. So there you go. So the problem that you just read about there, that is the problem that the British Teaching Diploma is out to solve. And let's break it down a little bit. So it is a level 7, which is the equivalent of a PGCE. It's delivered by our own trainers. That would be myself and Steve Garnett, both of us being published authors with lots and lots of both leadership and teaching and trainer experience. And it's an online or blended delivery. So up until now, we've been working with online only. We're opening up the Emirates now. They want a 75% mix. We're happy to do that. So you get really what you're looking for. We have 2 different versions. So one of them would be aimed at like regular teachers in the equivalent like high schools and colleges, primary as well. And we have what would be the equivalent of TVET here in England, so vocational training. Now, we've already rolled it out globally. and we've been at this since the first one rolled out in 2023, early 2023. Been at it for a while. And we also allow people to come into the cohorts externally. So, for example, we've had people coming in from Serbia and Spain and Cyprus joining these cohorts. So it's a super, super flexible approach that just caters to what's possible for teachers. And most teachers don't have a lot of time on their hands. So what we're getting out of it, just minding the time here, is that we want to empower the teachers. This is, first of all, the most essential thing, right? And then through that, by optimizing their performance, and as I said, we're looking at classrooms, we're looking at workshops, because we are covering the whole spectrum of academic and vocational. We're looking to improve the teaching, and that will improve the student outcomes. And we're not just looking at the field of actual subject knowledge, we're also looking crucially at these times, building up resilience, collaborative learning, like building up interpersonal and personal skills, which is very important now, contemporary, because of the whole, the issue with mental health and so forth. Through all of this, you are enhancing the reputation of your school in relation to your competition, because obviously, if you have level 7 teachers, it's a different thing from having perhaps less prestigious local trained teachers. That grows your enrollments. If you're a private institution, that gives you more money. And at the end of the day, hopefully, we're going to make a serious difference. We're going to make a difference not just to the teachers and the kids, but we are making a difference to the overall community. So that's the intention here. What we're looking at kind of in the practical scheme of things, and I really provide, like, everybody should go just check out the BritishTeachingDiploma.com website. I'll put all that on with my contact details. But what we're looking for is that this is a off-call recognized course, right? So we are being supervised and audited by an external assessor. It is a level 7, which is the equivalent of a master. So it's essentially the equivalent of a PGCE. It's 12 modules, and those modules are composed of 72 hours live online training, or face-to-face if you want to do blended. And there's then teaching materials that they will be using in between. And the key is that as they're doing these modules, typically delivered over 12 months, every new module presents an area, and that area, those strategies presented, are immediately applied inside the school. There's no waiting time. The impact's instant. And we are then expecting that when we are assessing, we're expecting to see photographs and other evidence, videos, the slides that we're using, of things that were actually used in the school along with student feedback. So this is not one of those things where you join the course, switch the mic off and switch the, and you lean back and watch Netflix. You're going to be doing this in the school the following day. Right? So it's a hands-on approach here that actually makes a change. So the sessions are weekly, and we do distribute them according to what people can manage. So some want to have 3-hour sessions, some want 90-minute sessions. So we're happy to. We try to make it work for the people who want to get the product. There's a student portal, so all of the delegates have their own login, their own access. They hand out the assignments. They get personalized interaction with the trainers. We also use Slack for more public communication. So it's a whole environment that you're stepping into as a delegate. And the price, in spite of this being at level 7 diploma, is actually quite low. This is within range of what schools and individuals can hopefully manage to afford. So this is a long way for I think it's like £10,000 or something for the PGC. So that is the selling point, as well as the fact that any credit you get here can be used for recognition of prior learning. So you can build other things. So let's say you want to do a master degree, you'd be able to build that on top of this. So there's a lot in this for 1,800 or less, right? Because not everybody pays that much. Everything depends on the scenario. How long do I have? Just to make sure I'm not...
6 minutes. Keep going. 6 minutes.
Oh my God, what am I worried about then? Oh, there you are. I hope I'm not, making anybody feel like they're sitting in a speeding car here. But 15 minutes is not a long time. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll try to go through the programs to give you kind of an idea of what we're looking at here. So as we said, it's broken into 12 modules. I just want to give you like a quick overview here of what they look like. So module 1 is how we learn. That's cognitive load theory in the main, and understanding how not to overburden working memory, which is one of the main reasons that people actually don't learn anything. And Steve, who's the other trainer, has actually written a book with kind of the godfather of cognitive load theory, Dr. Sweller in Australia. So it's a really there's a lot in here. Then we look at behavior management, and we actually relate those two things together, because the overload also means that people respond negatively when they're trying to learn. Then we basically begin what is the equivalent of a lesson. So what you're going to see now is a lesson rolled out. You start with you have a starter first, where you review prior learning and connect it to what's coming. You present the purpose to the kids, and that module here has a whole host of stuff on how to plan intelligently using backward design. So you're actually looking at the goal first, and then you work your way back. Then you give the input to the learners. So you'd say, this concept means this, this word means that, anything practical that you need to know in order to understand what you're learning might be words. You need to learn words such as decimal point, or take like any concept basically. What's a verb, what's a noun. Then you do the modeling. That is you showing the kids what they're supposed to do with the knowledge. So if you want to convert a fraction to a decimal, that's the procedure. And all of this stuff here ties back into how we learn, so that we're not putting too much stuff in, unlike what I'm doing now. Then there's guided practice. So at this point, up until now, you've been demonstrating and showing. In the guided practice, you start to hand over power to the students. Slowly, letting go. It's called teacher fading. So you take a step back, and this is where the cooperative learning comes in, which is my area of specialty. As the guided practice happens, you're checking for understanding, you're monitoring, you adapt the teaching to match, right? Because you want everybody to reach the same level. So this is not about old school differentiation. We assume that every kid's going to reach the same goal, and then we adapt the teaching process for each as they're doing the guided practice. They are then moved into independent practice, which is like just at the end of the lesson, where you can actually see them working individually, because the point of the cooperative learning here is not to create a group outcome. It's actually to make sure that each of the individuals in the group is able to take that knowledge and use it independently. Because at the end of the day, you know, when you get tested, you're not going to have your group around you. So it's an important point here. Then you close the lesson, in which you, in a sense, hook back to the next lesson's start a review, pointing forward to what's going to be learned, as well as summarizing and reviewing what's been done in the lesson. And the final module, which is not a teaching step, is how the British professional standards, the professional teaching standards, relate to this. And you have to remember that the assessment, each of these modules has its own assessment based on you demonstrating that you're deploying this in the class as practical strategies, not as a theoretical, even though obviously it's a level 7, there is a theoretical component, but all of the theory is reflected in an actual practice. So there you have it, 12 assignments in the assessment, real-time impact of British Teaching Diploma tools and techniques. I was going to go through the TBET program as well, but it is also 12 modules. They're slightly different. We're pulling in some extra specialists just because this is a very kind of unique area and unique environment to be working in. And again, you have the assessment, it's the same thing. And I think we'll just call it, that's it. I'll leave it there with that quote.
Jakob, thank you very much indeed. I mean, we know that the teaching program is a detailed program. You know, it comes in a variety of things because it's modular. So you've got bits and pieces that can be bolted together. And of course, one question I had for you though, do you actually tie in any occupational experience as well? So if somebody is coming, I don't know, maybe from the marine sector or something like that, if there was a group of people, would it be tailored to walk and talk a bit more along the maritime lines, for example? Or is it purist education?
So we need to distinguish between the academic and the TBET. And I think that's what you're getting at here. So the TBET still in development, and that would have exactly as you said, that would be reflecting the very specific delegates that will be coming in, because it's a whole, as I said, that's a whole different environment. You have people who come in from a business or a industry, and they're not teachers, but they have the desire to transmit. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to create that toolkit for them from scratch almost, with a range of, like, one guy's a hairdresser, the other guy's a mechanic, another guy's a electronic engineer in some sort. Like, that's a whole different kettle of fish. Thank you for asking. But yes,
brilliant.
Absolutely.
Great.
Right.
Jakob, you'll be back a bit later on, take some questions. But for now, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. You've got the screen back. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much indeed. Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.
So next up is Alan Howard, and he's from City and Guilds. Good afternoon, Alan. You are a stalwart of SkillsFest, so lovely to have you back.
Brilliant to be back. Thanks ever so much, Jonathan. And great that we've had so many insightful SkillsFest presentations this week so far. So thank you for allowing City and Guilds to just have the opportunity to talk through some of our exciting areas this time around. So I'm going to take us through the slide deck. If I can move forward, there we go. So everything that City and Guilds does is essentially all about skills. So whether that's at an individual level, an organization level, or from a government perspective, unlocking the potential of skills. And that's what I'll be focusing on today, is just giving you a few examples where we've worked together more at that government level to address skills needs and unlock opportunity for the future. But just, I'm sure you're already aware of City and Guilds, and we are in quite a unique position in the work that we do, engaging with industry bodies and governments and ultimately learners. And we do that across 6 continents, over 80 countries, and we impact over 3.5 million global learners. So I'm sure you're already familiar with our brand, but I'd like to just kind of give you a little bit more detail about some of the solutions that we provide as well as an organization. When you take a look at this screen, the solutions are always based on need, whether that could be, for example, accreditation, that might be of in-house training that already exists and it needs benchmarking against City and Guild standards. That might be one of the solutions. Or it could be consultancy of assessment or skills, curriculum frameworks. But one of the areas that we're going to focus on, and I'll talk about this a little bit, is more around that kind of national infrastructure, where City and Guilds have supported capacity building and capability building, and ultimately, from a skills perspective, looking at how we can support creating those skilled workforces that meet the demands of what I think we'd probably all see as a kind of rapidly changing job market out there. And so some of the organisations and governments that we've been working with recently are just on the bottom of the screen. But I'm going to go in a little bit more detail about some of the employability needs. I think this is one of those really core areas that's really underpinning the skills development for the future at whatever stage that's required through our career journeys, whether that's at school age or through change or in adult life as well. The couple of examples I want to home in on really focus around those durable skills, employability skills. So I'm going to just take us to Jamaica initially. We work with an organisation called the Heart NSTA Trust, which is essentially the Jamaica government's training agency. And they equally had this challenge of ensuring that there was a fit-for-purpose employability skills program that was put in place actually as part of Jamaica's Learning and Investment for Transformation program, or the LIFT program, which was a directive from the Prime Minister of Jamaica. So City and Guilds were delighted to work with the Heart NSTA to look at creating a skills program that delivered on that requirement. So very tailored program put together. There was 3 phases really, which the first phase of the program was all about self-assessment and goal setting. So understanding where the students were starting from, areas for growth, understanding about some of the broader wraparound areas such as problem solving, financial literacy, ICT, being able to set goals. And the second phase was more around preparing for work and thinking more about communication and teamwork, those kind of interview techniques and workplace readiness that we all need. And the third phase was more around actually then succeeding in work. So the confidence required for customer interactions and that collaboration between colleagues, really focusing on the soft skills that help with the job market for the future. So that's the program. But in terms of the wraparound, what was equally important to the Heart NSTA was that the teachers were fully trained, that they had the resources, they understood the solution, they were trained and recognised that they had that training taking place through digital credentials. Being an ambassador to be able to mentor others was part of the program that we put in place. And ultimately celebrating success that was achieved as well. So making sure there was that end of year showcase for the successful learners, being able to showcase their achievements, and crucially those digital credentials that are transportable so they can showcase the skills that they gained. So we're really pleased with the outcome of essentially supporting a strengthened employability skills agenda, really improving teacher capacity and being able to contribute to this work readiness approach in Jamaica. The impact so far has only been going a couple of years, but we've had over 1,000 learners go through this already. And this is actually connected to the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information in Jamaica. And they're now also looking at the opportunity to embed this program at school age children to help with that infrastructure and this national agenda. So we're really pleased with how that opportunity has progressed from a Jamaica perspective. I'm just going to move us on to a similar case study in the sense of the challenges were very similar. So this is a Tamkeen, which is a government agency in Bahrain, funded project. So also working with the Ministry of Labour in Bahrain, had those very typical challenges I think we're seeing worldwide around unemployment, skills gaps and youth unemployment. And again, looking at creating a comprehensive employability and durable skills program that address those needs. And this was particularly for the unemployed high school students and university graduates as well. So looking at key areas like communication, teamwork, self-management, understanding the world of work. And City and Guilds worked really closely with Tamkeen and the Ministry of Labour to put together a programme at varying levels that were appropriate for the audience, and being able to recognise those skills through credentials and put that in place. And it was very much a supportive program. It's actually 3 months of study and support together, and City and Guilds wrapping around again the teaching infrastructure, making sure that there was the infrastructure to help the teachers communicate and share good practice, but also quality assurance and auditing of those programs as well. And working really closely with industry partners for work experience and internships was a crucial part of how this was put together in a broader ecosystem of skills. So the impact, over 6,000 participants have been through that program, working with a number of training centres to address unemployment, bridging those skills gaps and enhancing youth employability, which is a really important aspect of what we were focusing on with these opportunities. So why did those government departments work with City and Guilds? Well, firstly, as a global skills partner, we want to build those kind of relationships where we really understand the part that City and Guilds can play in that country, in that national infrastructure, really creating a long, sustainable relationship so that we can support long-term aims of government departments. Becoming a trusted partner in that skills development landscape is really important to the purpose of City and Guilds. So that's something that we really advocate in the way that we work with our partners on a long-term sustainable solutions that we put in place. Also, hopefully you've seen that through the couple of examples in employability, that it was really important for us to have that consultative approach, not just overlaying something that already exists in one place, but actually kind of really listening to the needs and understanding what the requirements are and working together. So that co-creation of a solution is crucial for us. With the Heart NSTA example in Jamaica, that was very much based on local expertise feeding into the solution and making sure that the solution that we put in place resonated on a local level and really addressed those particular needs in that particular country at that particular sort of level of employability that was required. So having that consultative approach to work through what the specific challenges are and being able to tailor the solution is a key part of the way that we work with our clients and customers. The long-term commitment, and as you've seen examples today from both the Caribbean and the Middle East, it's really important for us that we have that sustainable impact and that it contributes to the longer-term vision of either those countries or national initiatives that will help to roll out. And is in the case that I've provided that example with Jamaica, it's part of a long-term aspiration to address those skills needs and support the country as a whole with its skills programs. And finally, just to mention around the links into industry, I mentioned at the very beginning that we're in quite a unique position with the relationships that we have with employers and also engaging with industry bodies. That's a real key part of our history and way of working, and what we continue to do now to ensure that we're really close to the requirements on a sort of national scale, and understanding what industry is asking of skill solutions and government solutions. So whether that's through our qualifications, which you may be more familiar with, or whether it's through our solutions like consultancy and accreditation, where we're recognizing skills and adding the value to showcase the skills that have been received. They're all solutions that help to address the needs of the workforce, not just now, but also as we move into the future. And I think we can probably all connect with the view that everything is changing what feels like increasingly fast at a pace where we need to be really ahead of those skills gaps and understanding what the resource needs are of the future and how we can all play a part in providing the solution. And just in terms of the presentation that I've gone through today, I hope that you've seen from the examples that I've taken you through today that really there's a power in collaboration ultimately. It's the impact that we have working together and collaborating on expertise, solutions, identifying areas that we can all work together on. That has that potential to have a lasting impact on the skills landscape. And that's where City and Guilds would really like to support and make sure that we have the opportunities to work together with in the future. And that's my summary. Thank you, Jonathan.
Alan, thank you so much. Always love it when City and Guilds is here because you have such a diverse range of things that you do. And whilst, you know, being a UK awarding body was the principal design of the organisation, actually in more recent years, you've kind of moved away from that and gone for much more modular, bite-sized, employer-focused programmes, which are very different maybe from qualifications, you know, easier to swallow skills pills, as you might say. And I think, you know, we saw City and Guilds kind of move away from being just led by qualifications into that kind of bite-sized, shorter course type scenario, and that I think that's working out really well. And certainly around the world, we're seeing a lot of demand for that. And the way that learners are changing their learning styles and habits really demonstrates as well that they want much shorter, just-in-time modules that they can upskill and move into a job or onto a job. And then, you know, they pick up another skill and they kind of keep going. So this lifelong learning trend is very much where City and Guilds is at and really demonstrates so well across the world. So thank you for sharing that with us. And don't go away. We will have some questions for you.
No problem. And thank you for articulating that summary, Jonathan, because I think that really showcases where we are as an organisation and the depth and breadth of our skill solutions that we're now providing. So thank you. And I'll be back, as they say.
Thank you so much indeed. We're moving on, though. We've got Angel Gani now from CENIT College. Angel, are you there? There you are.
Yes,
Lovely to see you.
Nice seeing you too. Right, let me just start with sharing.
This is Angel's first time on SkillsFest, so it really is a pleasure to have CENIT College here. We're going to learn a lot about what the college does on the global stage, so really excited.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Angel. I am the Chief Operating Officer here at CENIT College. It's a pleasure to be here, my first time, and I've just put a few slides together just to explain who we are and what we do and how we could definitely support those that they're looking for either upskilling or reskilling or career changes across the globe and the world. Although at the moment we are operating in Ireland, so we're an Irish and UK skills training provider. Our main focus has been around different types of boot camps. What I mean by boot camps, these are short programs that we've been delivering to support individuals for upskilling and reskilling in these areas. And majority of our programs at the moment, they're funded by the Department for Education. So we work very, very closely with UK government, and also we work closely with trusted employers, where some of our programs are partially funded by the government and partially funded by the employers. And track record of our learner progression shows that we keep getting quite a lot of contracts and quite a lot of work across the globe, across Ireland and UK, to deliver short and sharp programs. And as I said, around the areas of leadership and management, project management, data, accountancy. We've delivered quite a lot of cloud and AI, which covers quite a huge kind of platforms in the training world. Our mission Well, basically at CENIT College, our mission is to close the skills gap and empower individuals that they're from all sorts of different backgrounds, from different within the UK, from different regions and different cities and so on. And we achieve this through an employer-informed and industry-led kind of designed by not just tech, not just delivering tech skills, but also to create a real career opportunities. So working very closely with the industry experts, creating programs, bringing in not just the tutors, but industry experts to come and deliver these programs at the time that suits individual. So we're quite flexible in terms of delivery as well. So that's our mission, to make sure that we work very closely with every individual and create a program that is going to help them in terms of their upskilling. What are Skills Bootcamp? I mean, at the moment, for those of you in the UK, you must have heard of these Skills Bootcamp, but this is not just the UK, this is across the board around different countries as well, that we've been created these short, intensive programs. And this is just built to kind of plug skills gap very quickly in the market. So we run these anywhere between 6 to 8 weeks, 1 day a week sessions or 2 day, depending on the availability of the employer or the staff or the people that they're looking to upskill. So it's a flexible online or blended option. So there are opportunities that we've been delivering for some big employers where they have people across different regions and different countries. So we create a kind of an online virtual session with the tutor. And also there are some employers that they want us to work on that particular region, for example, in London. So we do have facilities where we deliver a blended program. But all of the programs that we design and we deliver is designed with the employer. So it's very much job focused. It's very much around what the skills are right now, rather than providing them with a qualification. We give them the skills that they need in order for them to blossom and do well in the market. So it's the most importantly for CENIT, the outcome. So our programs are really outcome driven, and majority of the learners, when we look at them, when we speak to them from the beginning, we create these individual learner plans, that when the individual finishes or these learners finishes the program, they're ready for a new task, for a promotion, for a new job, for a new role, and so on. And that's very key for us. It's not about us making sure that they get the qualification, although our program is aligned to a level 3, level 4, level 5 when it comes to the UK standards. However, our focus is more around giving the skills that they need in order for them to get into the job market and secure, obviously, a role. So in terms of our boot camps, they are, as I've mentioned earlier on, it's co-designed with employers being in mind. And we've been doing this for many, many years, knowing CENIT College has been around for nearly about 23 years and working very, very closely with enterprises, with employers, with the government agencies to make sure that it's co-designed in such a way that the learners benefit from this. And we do take a lot of, you say we did type of thing as well, where we listen to the learners, we get loads of surveys done and so on, for us to ensure that we deliver something that is going to have a bigger impact and it meets the business needs. We're proud of our achievement rate, which we've got roughly just over 90% completion and satisfaction rate. And it really showcases the impact of quality of what we deliver. Some of the strong employer networks that we work with, from Network Rail in the UK to Just Cost Solutions, Barclays, we've provided and delivered quite a lot of training to SMEs, and that's where our main focus is, to provide that support that local SMEs and local businesses they need, as well as working with larger enterprises to support them with their upskilling. And of course, the delivery model that we have is extremely flexible. So virtual live sessions, accessible to all the learners wherever they are. And of course, we do deliver evening sessions, we do deliver weekend sessions in order for us to make sure that the delivery method, the delivery model is flexible so everybody can join and everybody can be part of the program. Now, the impact roughly in the last 20 months, I'll say from January 2024 till August 2025, which is just last month, we have supported over 8,500 learners within that time frame. And this is between our CENIT Ireland and CENIT UK. And these are not just numbers. These are lives that has been transformed, and kind of careers that has been launched, and kind of futures that's been unlocked. So throughout the entire, when you see these 8,500 or over 8,500 learners, is every single one of them, they've got a story to tell, and every single one of them, they've seen that transformation from where they were and where they are now. And we consistently delivering outcomes above the national average in the UK. So recently, the delivery that we've done around the national contract that we've won with the Department for Education, our performance was extremely positive, and our delivery was above national average, which is something that we're really, really proud of. And we're committed to supporting, areas such as supporting women in tech, women in IT, ethnic minorities, and putting those that are not in education, employment or training at the forefront to support them as much as we can. And this is why if I put a percentage based on what I've seen recently and in our numbers, about 65% of our cohorts usually is made out of, women, female learners. We do get quite a large portion of our learners that they come from a background where they're not working or they're not in education, and we're supporting them to get them into work, working very closely with employers to support these learners to secure a role as well. So our delivery is at the moment, it's national within the UK, as well as our Ireland branch that we deliver programs across Ireland. Right now, we are in the middle of delivery around Cheshire and Warrington, East Midland region. We are about to start our Greater London Authority delivery in coming weeks, as well as West Midlands. So we are kind of scattered all over, and that's exactly our team as well. We are not based in one location, we're nationally, but for us to upskill, for us to scale this up and go international, that's something that we are used to, as I've mentioned earlier on with our Ireland delivery. We've got bank of tutors that we work with, and of course the subject matter experts that they support us in order for us to meet the national or international demand. There's so many different case studies that I can bring in, and we can just talk about this, but the program, as I said, is just purely working with quite a large number of SMEs, as well as government bodies and large enterprises to upskilling their team. And as I said, the 90% completion rate with a strong internal job progression is something that we've seen, and we're just delivering as we speak right now with another employer who's national, quite a large employer that we're working with, and in terms of the internal job progression is quite high, and we're looking at 90% completion with that cohort as well. And the content itself with that particular employer that we've worked with it was tailored to meet the organization goals, and of course making it directly relevant to the workplace needs. So we're running quite a few boot camps for this particular employer, and each one of them, so from customer service as an example to data and Power BI, and the final one which is around section planning and so on and so forth. So that's something that we've designed purely as a close cohort for this particular employer, who is national as well as international as well. So it's a success. We've run this for quite a few months now, and of course they're not the only one, but as I said, as a case study, it's an ongoing collaboration with quite a lot of employers. And the main thing about partnership is the partnership continues. And with employer feedback, shaping ongoing delivery, shaping the future boot camps, and looking at what's next in the next 6 months or so. So that's important to us, just to make sure that we know where we are. Some of our case studies, you could take a look at our Trustpilot testimonials, which is a platform where individuals, they just go and they write, how they found our training, and the platform and the support. So we provide a full wraparound service. So for example, with our accountancy boot camp, where we do have the learners that we don't just cover the curriculum and the training. But of course, we do have our careers support team where they deliver a wraparound service, so from CV to interview tips and LinkedIn profiles, and supporting them and connecting them with the pool of employers that we have. Likewise, the same thing with our project management bootcamp, which is our flagship in terms of delivery, a huge success with that. And as you can see from some of these, you could just go into our Trustpilot page and type in CENIT College, and you will be able to see all these reviews, which is very recent, from all our learners that have completed these boot camps within the UK and abroad. When I say abroad, Ireland at the precise moment. Why this matters globally? Skills Bootcamp aren't just for, it's not just a UK success. It's something that we can scale up. It's a model that every workforce can use for workforce transformation worldwide. And these boot camps, they respond rapidly to economic needs, and that could be any country, it could be anywhere in the world. And it's an evidence-led training that really works. It's not just about giving somebody the certification that they go into the market, but giving them the wraparound service, giving them the skills that they need in order for them to get into the market. And the framework itself, it strengthens the systems, it boosts social mobility, also ensures that it's employer-led delivery. So our boot camps make sure that we cover all of the aspect, and we've been running this quite successful throughout all these years. And also it aligns with the global sustainability development goal and the labour market reform, which is making skills a driver of inclusive growth everywhere. And that's what we stand for. That's exactly what we've been delivering. That's what we look to deliver. And rapidly looking at the market, creating that partnership, creating that support that a learner will come to us and say, these are the areas that we're looking to upskill. And that's how we design our bootcamps, by listening to people, not just bringing in subject matter experts, because they come right after us, getting advice from the employers, getting advice from the learners and those people that they're looking to upskill. And then we bring in the subject matter expert, who bring in vendors to create these programs for us to be able to deliver, so these learners will go into the market and obviously upskill themselves. So that's it for me. I'm leaving you with the thought that at CENIT College, we genuinely believe that skills are the currency of the future. We've seen this. I've seen this personally with my own children, seeing them, that how they've developed their skills and how they enter the market. And by working together across different borders, we can definitely unlock all these opportunities that is available globally, and also shaping a stronger global workforce for all by creating these boot camps, delivering these skills, and supporting and helping by providing this wraparound service. These are my details. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I've just received quite a few LinkedIn ads, which I will be adding everybody later on. But if there are any questions, anything that you would like to discuss, please feel free to reach me either on my LinkedIn, or feel free to call me or email me. Thank you very much.
Angel, amazing. Thank you so much indeed. And who'd have thought it, hey? So we learnt a lot there about CENIT College, but also particularly about the thrust on boot camps and bite-sized training, short courses, which really is about upskilling, cross-skilling, reskilling, and getting people into jobs, which is what we love. For me, everything has to be about skills for jobs, right? If we're not doing skills for jobs, what on earth are we doing? So really, really great to hear that. And I think the other thing I'm really impressed by is the range of sectors that you're working across as well, and the types of companies, and particularly the focus on small, medium enterprises that might have, longer supply chains or whatever, but they are really on the kind of smaller end of the business, as well as large companies, but SMEs are critical to the economy. So really great to see you working in that space. Don't go away. We've got a couple more presentations, and we are going to invite you back, hopefully, for some questions. Thanks so much.
No problem. Thank you.
Next up is awarding organisation OCN London, and Amarjit Dhanjal is going to take us through OCN's offer. So hello, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
Yeah, and you're this is not your first rodeo with us, is it? So it's great to have you back.
It's really not. You can see that okay, can't you? I'm sure.
Yep, all good to go.
Okay, so hello everyone. Thank you, Jonathan, and your colleagues for the opportunity to speak today. My name's Amarjit, and I'm representing OCN London. We're an awarding organisation with a long history of supporting education and training, and I'm excited to share how we're helping to shape the future of skills development. Our theme is making learning matter, as you see on the screen there. And over the next few minutes, I'm going to show you what that means in practice, how we work with organizations, what makes our approach different, and why digital credentials like micro-credentials are transforming the way learning is recognized. So just a little bit about us to start off with. We've been around for over 40 years. We're an awarding organization regulated by the English regulator Ofqual. And we're trusted by, hundreds of providers and thousands of learners. I think what makes us quite distinctive is our flexible approach to accreditation. So we don't just offer regulated qualifications, but we do have, quite a range of different products. And although qualifications are a core part of what we do, we also provide things like bespoke, customized accreditation, course endorsements. We've moved into the world of apprenticeships, and increasingly we're accrediting things like micro-credentials, which are going to be what I really talk about today. We're an agile and responsive organization, so whether we're working with large businesses, small organizations, government initiatives, different size training providers, we kind of support them, and make sure we do that in an agile manner. And importantly, obviously for this presentation, we're not confined solely to the UK. Over the last few years, we've really started operating in different areas a lot more. So right now we have centers in the US, a few different locations around Europe. And also we're kind of moving into Asia as well. So it's quite an exciting time to be operating in this space. So without further ado, I'll take you through a few examples of our digital credentials where we've been gaining a lot of traction here in the UK. And I mean, we're a very strong advocate of this approach. So I've got a bit of information there about micro-credentials. You have probably heard the term. I think the term itself and the idea of micro-credentials has been a lot more developed, perhaps outside the UK than within, but that is kind of rapidly changing. So what are they? In simple terms, micro-credentials are very focused, small modules of learning, verifying something like a specific skill, a piece of knowledge, or perhaps a behavior, or a kind of mixture of the above. They're designed to be flexible, stackable, meaning learners can build them up over time. And they're also quick to design and deliver. They can be mapped against different frameworks nationally and internationally. And I think their real value lies in their ability to respond to fast changing labor markets. So employers need new skills today and are not always able to wait the months or perhaps years it takes to develop new, longer forms of accreditation. And sorry, even when those forms of accreditation do come around, sometimes those longer forms are just simply not appropriate, especially for people in employment situations where taking the time off to upskill and reskill is perhaps not an option. So these do provide individuals with bite-sized recognition of their achievements, supporting lifelong learning and improving their employability skills, mobility skills. I thought I'd bring you some examples, and these are of our micro-credentials. It's a few examples of the different ways we've been working with centres to develop these forms of accreditation. Now, you've got a few at the top. These are kind of standalone credentials in really diverse subject areas. And in fact, for this presentation, I sought to bring some of the more diverse ones along. And what they do reflect is that kind of specialist knowledge. So examples here include things like carbon reporting, working with heat pumps, and discovering cybersecurity. And for these ones in particular, we worked alongside, large training providers and universities as part of these were developed as part of a series of skills improvement programs, which were very much kind of local initiatives responding to local demands in the workforce. There's a couple more examples on this page along the middle and the bottom. And what I hope to exemplify with these two is that whole idea about stackability. So, undertaking small elements of learning which recognize your different knowledge, skills, and behaviors, building up to something larger. So the middle example is actually of this innovation literacy program, which we've been working alongside quite a large college group to accredit. And that kind of encourages different kinds of innovative knowledge, skills, behaviors, which are developed alongside a larger program of study, in this case, apprenticeships. So clearly, the apprenticeships can be quite focused, especially on the vocational role that they're based in, and these give the learners the opportunity to get recognition for thinking outside the box, developing skills and strategies for doing that, and then kind of exemplifying it and getting rewarded for doing so. The bottom example is perhaps one that is a slightly easier concept to digest, in that it focuses on, as hopefully you can see from this screen, those kind of key elements of productivity software, word processing, spreadsheets, etc. In this case, we're looking at a kind of beginner level of competence. And this is actually a suite of micro-credentials we've developed ourselves. So it's a kind of in-house one, which we make available for our centres. And as you can see, I mean, if you've got a specific requirement for, I don't know, skilling up in spreadsheets, one could do a single credential, or for a more well-rounded experience, work with all of these 4 sets of skills and receive that beginner IT productivity micro-credential at the end of it. All of this without having to commit to a much larger program of study, which again is perhaps not perhaps the most useful form of study in a working environment, where you might just need those, as I mean, Jonathan mentioned it earlier in this session, but the kind of just-in-time form of learning, where you need that specialist knowledge and skills in a relatively short amount of time. These are a fantastic way of delivering that and recognizing them. Something that we're incredibly excited about here at OCN London is this amazing bit of work we're doing to do with this thing called the Hospitality Skills Passport. It's a nationally recognized digital credential, and it's endorsed by the hospitality industry's own trade body and accredited by us at OCN London. So this type of program is delivered through various mechanisms like apprenticeships, employer training programs, and as our previous colleague on this session mentioned, she was talking about boot camps. That's another kind of delivery mechanism within the hospitality industry. So what does it do? It provides assurance, this passport, that a learner's developed the skills employers are looking for. So things like food safety, customer service, teamwork, hygiene. It also captures their core knowledge about the hospitality sector and how it operates, and crucially, the workplace behaviors that make someone effective on the job. So things like professionalism, collaboration, and problem solving. So it's a great example, an illustration of how these digital credentials can connect industry needs and learner recognition. And I would just say the example you see on the screen there does look, in fact, a bit different from the previous slide where I was showing you the slightly kind of teardrop shaped ones. And this is actually a screenshot from a phone, because digital credentials are available to implement within your LinkedIn, Facebook, any kind of online curriculum. But also they've got that downloadable aspect where you can put them in things like your preferred operating systems wallet. And in the case of a hospitality skills passport, as with other kinds of work-related credentials, it's a really useful thing to be able to have with you, portable, so you can take it to the employer and just demonstrate, as easy as that. The QR code attests to the verifiable nature of it. So if one were to scan a kind of QR code on a digital credential, you will understand the, where it was delivered, when. You'll see the metadata behind it all. What are the competencies that the learner has, skills, knowledge, behavior, etc. So coming towards the end of the presentation, I just want to speak a bit more about OCN London and our collaborative approach, to working with centres. So I do think it's one of our greatest strengths, and it's our flexibility in partnership, not taking a one-size-fits-all approach, but really kind of working with our centres to understand their needs. For some centres and some organisations, we can provide things like light touch recognition, where we're talking about maybe endorsing training programs that they undertake. For others, we work with many centres to create things like nationally recognised qualifications. We work internationally, helping providers gain recognition for their programs across different countries and frameworks. We obviously understand that working through different territories, there are different regulatory burdens, which we're, more than happy to help support and work with. Our decades of experience mean we can offer more than just accreditation. We support curriculum design, quality processes, staff training, and we even co-brand products with partners, benchmarking their courses against national or international frameworks, and just kind of ensuring that the accreditation that we do work on with our centres has that portability, whether that's nationally, internationally, and it does what it's supposed to do, opening the doors to opportunity that they should. Above all, we pride ourselves on our customer service, with each of our centres having named contacts, for curriculum support, business support, quality assurance. It's really about being a collaborative partner, not just an accreditor of your programs. So to finish, I just want to emphasize our core message again. It's about making learning matter. So we'd love to hear from organizations that are interested in exploring how accreditation, micro-credentials, bespoke, or perhaps national qualifications could work for them, for yourselves. You can reach us via email. We have some details there, by phone or through our website. I've already dropped my LinkedIn details and things like that into the chat. Just to say, we're committed to providing practical, forward-looking, forward-thinking solutions, recognizing the skills people develop in their work, study, and life. We're happy to work with you to ensure learners not only gain knowledge, but have it recognized in the ways that open those doors for them. Thank you for your time, and I will be around to answer any questions later on.
Amarjit, thank you very much for showing us OCN London's big proposition there. I mean, it's really clear as an awarding organisation, you are really so much more than just that. The collaboration with industry, tailoring programmes, bite-sized courses. There's a whole raft of stuff that's in here, and I love the passport concept. And I think we'll see a lot more of those kind of passports that will appear, because lifelong learning is not for one period in your life, right? It's for the whole life, and you need ways to track that. And over the years, we've not been particularly good at doing that. In fact, so there might be some UK people online that have this too. So I have a very burgundy coloured folder that was given to me back in 1980, a long time ago. and that was our folder for putting in all our certificates, things like that. And sados like me, we still use them, right? So I still keep all my school certificates and all of that kind of thing in this folder. They're not electronic, they're not easy to access. Sometimes you forget what ones you've got. Sometimes you forget the folder as well, especially when you move house. It took me like 6 to 8 months to find the folder. So having digital records that follow you around and are accessible on your phone and things like that, going to be a game changer. So really good to hear that OCN is in that space. Thank you very much indeed. There you are, Isaac. You have the floor.
Brilliant. Hopefully you can all hear me all right.
Yeah, we can hear and see you.
Okay.
For that great presentation to come through. There you are. You're on screen.
Let me know once you've got that. Brilliant. Okay, so good afternoon, everybody. I'm Isaac Olubitan, International Manager here at the CII. I'm responsible for a number of our CII's international regions, basically, which includes Africa, Americas, Caribbean, and Europe. Today, I will talk to you a little bit about who the CII is, what we do, a little bit about who we work with, and also how we work with them, basically. So yeah, let's get to it. So the CII is a professional membership body which is founded to support professionals within the insurance and the financial planning sectors, and also really to build public trust in those professions. In practice, in a practical sense, was that we're a professional body that provides learning solutions such as qualifications, training, technical training, support, CPD, so on and so forth, to help individuals who are interested in those industry either enter or develop as they go on in their career. But more than that, we are also a membership body, which means we provide memberships to aspiring professionals and existing professionals alike, basically. Our overarching purpose really is to educate and support members, enabling them to really get the best outcomes for their customers and their clients, basically. Our programs are globally recognized and have been designed to support professionals in 3 main ways. Number one, being career growth. It allows professionals to develop skills and technical capacity, really, for them to become a subject matter expert in their own right, should they want to, given the span and the breadth of subjects that we offer. Number two, it supports global mobility. Sadly, in a lot of industries, all the skills required to keep the market going aren't readily available, and we tend to find that actually skills that are acquired through the learning journey are required in various different markets internationally. And then finally, professional credibility. It just gives clients so much more comfort and peace of mind knowing that whoever they're dealing with has professional qualifications, and of course it just gives confidence in their professional competency. One more thing to mention, the CI was incorporated by Royal Charter. What that means is that our patron is His Majesty the King, King Charles, and it allows us, gives us the ability really to give charter titles, basically. So what that means for members of the CII is that providing they meet the requirements or they're qualified to the right level, they may be able to have titles such as chartered insurance broker, chartered insurance practitioner, chartered financial planner, so on and so forth, by virtue of that royal charter. So that's quite key. As a global reach, we've got a global presence with over 122,000 members, which are spread across the UK and our international regions. And those regions generally are supported. Basically, we've got we're present and we operate in about 130 different countries roughly, and the way that we do that is to support those markets through our 3 hubs. One head office is based in London, through which we support the entire UK market, and of course I'm based in London too, so we support Africa, Americas, Caribbean and Europe from London. We've also got a team who are based in the UAE in Dubai, and they look after the entire Middle East region as well as the Central and Southeast Asia region. And then finally, we've got a team which are based in Hong Kong, and they look after the Asia Pacific region as well as the kind of Australasia area as well. You know, collaborations are quite key to the way we work at the CII, and allows us to engage with different segments of the industries, whether it be financial planning, whether it be insurance. It allows us to work with different segments of the those industries. It enables us to really understand what those markets need and collaborate on providing the appropriate solutions for each of those stakeholders within those markets. You know, so our regional team will, number one, partner up with major employers who we will work with to make their learning and development objectives, I suppose, find solutions to those, whether it's staff training, so on and so forth. We would also work with regulators who may be looking at the whole market more holistically and looking at about strategies in terms of developing and increasing the professional capacity and technical capacity within a whole market. We will work with universities. Universities are very key, as well as training institutions. They're very key when it comes to providing a pipeline of professionals entering the industry and also upskilling existing professionals within the industry. We work with those organizations to actually find solutions that are best for the market. In addition to all of that, we would collaborate with affiliated institutes, which we would define as like-minded organizations like ourselves in different regions. So in fact, in Africa, we've got about 13 affiliated institutes across different countries, including Uganda, Kenya, Ghana, Nigeria, so on and so forth, right? And the idea there is that it helps us to understand the markets through an exchange of knowledge and good practice in those areas. But more importantly, it allows us to undertake reciprocal recognition of our qualifications. Also, the training that's delivered in those jurisdictions, it allows us to be able to recognize that towards CPD, towards the CI CPD program, and of course, CI content would also be recognized in those individual regions as well. Now, this often results in the creation of targeted programs that are aimed to support the market. So, for example, in May of this year, we hosted a delegation from Rwanda. It was made up of the Kigali International Financial Center, as well as the Central Bank in Rwanda, who are the regulators. And the idea was to really discuss what is required to raise standards within the market, what is required to upskill professionals within that market to increase their capability going for over a period of time. You know, so that's an example there. It's not isolated to that because, of course, we work with regulators, say some examples being Kuwait, the UAE, Sri Lanka, Saudi Arabia, you know, to really understand the needs of their market and develop plans and programs that will support those markets. What we tend to find is that there are common challenges in a lot of these emerging markets, and that might be, like I said, with regulators and government bodies, usually that's a desire to kind of build capacity in that domestic market, remove reliance on, I suppose, expat workforce. Or you may have general issues such as a shortage of skills across the professionals in the industry, a limited leadership pipeline. So, individuals who are taking leadership roles within the industry, that again is something that a lot of regulators and government bodies wish to address and create their own pipeline internally, or indeed just adapting to changes within the market, whether it's through technology, AI, so on and so forth. These tend to be common challenges that we see within these emerging markets. Now, the way that we will work with a lot of organizations and these regulators in resolving that is using what we call the professional map. For those who don't know, the professional map is a competency framework which the CI launched, in fact, about 18 to 24 months ago. Really, it maps out across a professional's life cycle, whether it's entering into the industry, working way towards middle management, and then, of course, at the other end of the scale, we're talking about company leaders, CEOs, executives, so on and so forth. The professional map really does what it says in terms of it maps out the competencies, the skills, the behaviors that these professionals need to have in order to, number one, understand where they are across their professional journey, and more importantly, understand what they will need to do, the skills they will need to acquire to move across that, obtain promotions and move and develop and develop in their career. So it becomes a bit of a common language that we use as it allows, particularly with conversations with regulators, it allows us to do some really critical things for them. Number one is actually it allows us to understand the capacity level existing in the market. Number two, it allows us to be able to map roles that are going to be required within those industries. And then more importantly, it allows us to then work with those regulators, training providers, so on and so forth. It allows us to work with them to identify and develop training programs that we will use to fill whatever gaps we've identified within those markets. So it becomes a little bit of a consultancy, and we will, like I said, map, understand, and identify solutions for those markets. One of the things that we will use, and I'll talk to you very quickly about CI qualifications and the way that they work when it comes to capacity building, is, of course, CI qualifications. What you can see there, very quickly, there are three main levels of CI qualifications. Number one being the certificate level, which is the kind of light blue section you can see there. You've got the diploma, which is the green section, and then, of course, the advanced diploma, being the orange section over there. And the way CI qualification works, it works on the basis of accumulating credits. So learners will sit individual modules, picking subjects that are relevant to either their role or where the roles that they are aspiring to, and they will accumulate credits until they meet the threshold for that particular qualification. So, for example, for the certificate level, we have what's required here is 40 credits. The individual will sit a compulsory unit and other elective subjects that they choose. And that would usually be about 3 topics in order to achieve the certificate level. When they move on to the diploma, they don't start from scratch. What they will do really is the progress that they had from the certificate level, they will carry those credits along and simply fill the remaining gaps in order to meet that qualification threshold. So they would already have at least 40 credits at the certificate level. So when they go on to the diploma, they simply need to sit the compulsory unit and make sure that they filled any other credit requirements, basically. Programs can be between 3 to 6 months, depending on subjects that have been picked. And oftentimes for the diploma, we might look between 12 to 18 months for those modules. Basically, the way that we assess them are also very different. In terms of the certificate level, those are assessed via multiple choice exams. And then when we move on to the diploma level, we employ something we call mixed assessment, which is a combination of coursework assignments as well as multiple choice exam. And then finally, when you get up to the ACII or the advanced diploma level, those are tested purely via coursework assignments, because of course the way that CI qualifications are structured is that you gain your technical knowledge with the certificate and the diploma level, and the advanced diploma level, which often tends to be taken by more senior individuals, tends to be more about the application of that knowledge and how actually that is relevant for your subject matter or for the area of business that you're working with, right? So we find it far more effective to test that level via coursework instead. Now, finally, like I said, when it comes to capacity building, it's really a two-step approach. There is a technical capacity raising, but then of course what often gets forgotten is upskilling the industry leadership, and we will do that by deploying our leadership program, which tends to be, say, a 5-day program delivered in London, covering things like strategy, governance, risk and finance, future challenges, so on and so forth, and enabling those leaders to be able to gain the knowledge to actually maneuver their companies through the challenges in the industry over 3, 5, maybe 7 years down the road. So that gives you a good idea of I suppose how we would approach conversations with regulators, government bodies, training providers, and we will work with them to implement some of these programs in their locality. I think Jonathan's telling me subliminally that I've run out of time. So with that, I will end my presentation. Of course, you've got the contact details on screen there. Please feel free to indeed get in touch with us if you think we can support you in any way.
Thank you so much indeed, Isaac. Really interesting overview of chartered bodies and of course the Chartered Insurance Institute, otherwise known as CII. And I put some text actually in the chat just to help people out, because chartered bodies are quite unusual in the sense that, you know, not many countries have chartered bodies, but of course most of you operate all over the place, and there are actually well over 1,000 bodies and organisations across the UK that have chartered status, but there's only about 400 that would sit in the education space. So and I deal with many of those, and I'm a chartered manager myself. So for people, it really signifies the pinnacle of their careers, and it's really a fantastic set of institutions to have on board. So thank you for coming along and talking about Chartered Insurance Institute. Can we have all our speakers back on now? So Jakob and Angel and Alan, Amarjit, and see where we go with some questions just to kind of keep them on their toes. Fantastic, thank you. So I guess one of the first questions really is around balancing the needs of the labour market and the skills market versus it being a supply-led system. And Alan, you've done a lot of work in this space, and I just wondered if you could, in kind of 1 minute, really just talk us through about how you go through that process. I mean, do you just go and do some research, or do you talk to somebody? How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it often stems from the customer perspective. So whether that's on a kind of national scale, which falls out of potentially research, and it could be, for example, Sitting Guilds has an impact report, which looks at that in great detail to address things like the skills challenges, whether that's in the UK or specifically in other territories, where it's in other countries. That often stems from the conversations with government and appropriate stakeholders, where those, if you like, those needs are recognised, but not always necessarily the solutions to address, which is where we come in and support that to get that balance right that you described in terms of addressing skills needs and being able to kind of look forwards in how we address those, and how they're taken forward, on a sustainable basis.
Wonderful, thank you. Anybody else want to comment on that? No. Okay, good. Interdisciplinary skills, so foundation skills, things like that. How are you building those into your programs? Because actually, over the last 3 or 4 days, we've really heard a lot about those kind of base level skills that are not technical skills. So, reliance, emotional resilience, all these kind of things that you might need, communication skills, teamwork skills. How are you building those in? And I'm going to direct that to Angel to start with, because you're doing short courses, compressed courses. And so, they're really focused on technical skills. But within that, there must be an element of teaching soft skills or human skills or personal skills, whatever you want to call it.
Oh, absolutely. It's the main part of it. So apart from teaching the technical skills, as I've mentioned during my presentation, we do a wraparound service, and that wraparound service bringing in either guest speakers from the industry to come in and talk about these soft skills and giving them the kind of what it really actually looks like in the real workplace. And then at the same time, we do have our own career coaches that when we are designing the scheme of work in terms of delivery, we work with the subject matter experts to create a session which is mainly around the technical side, but then at the same time, it goes hand to hand covering areas. So for example, with one of our boot camps, we cover the local region kind of safeguarding matters, prevent as well as safeguarding, which is part of that, and also British values is something that we teach as part of our boot camp, but also as you said earlier on, just bringing in that soft skills, which a lot of support is given by career coaches, and it's the main part or the main meat, which sits right next to the actual technical skills that we're teaching the learners.
Thank you. And to give that question to Jakob from a slightly different perspective, because, an institution or the teaching that happens in an institution is only as good as its teachers. And, we do see lots of teachers that have gone through the kind of university route, become teachers, never gone to the workplace and all of that. So may not have the kind of prerequisite skills that you might hope for as a teacher. What are you doing with your programs, Jakob, to kind of instill some of those skills as well, so they're much better with dealing with students in a diverse set of environments?
Well, what we're trying to do is really to give them the skill set to create a safe environment where the students can engage with that kind of personal development, but without hampering the subject's teaching, because obviously anything that you do that doesn't lead towards test results is usually like, So the cooperative learning, for an example, so just to give like a really practical example, all schools have like posters saying, we're a collaborative school, we always help each other, we're nice to each other, in whatever frame, you want, like British values, like there's always, but these are kind of mental images that are disconnected from reality. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to pull in, so when you do maths or English or science or history, we are trying to create activities where every person is going to be accountable for what they say and do, where there is an equal participation built into the structuring itself so that nobody can hide. We're looking at simultaneous interaction so that every single individual is like on the spot at every given moment until that activity stops. So these are not theoretical, this is what it would look like if you were doing it, but rather this is what it feels like when you're experiencing and engaging in it. So it's looking at it from a different perspective. We're not looking so much at the teachers as much as what happens to the students, if that makes sense.
Thank you so much. Yeah, okay, so really good. I'll have another question then to throw out. So technology has come along and it's kind of changing the way we do everything. And we hear about it almost every single day. And I guess, going through the COVID period really led in the vocational space to a shift in the way that we use technology to develop skills. And, now I've seen things like, welding programs, all sorts of different things that you can teach. Amarjit, in OCN, you've even adopted that with the passports and all of that. How is it changing the face of education from your perspective?
That's a really good question. I mean, it's quite interesting that a lot of the work we're doing right now is about looking at our existing qualification offer and updating it in light of the recent changes. So, what's important to people right now, obviously sustainability, but more than that, I mean, AI and things like this are kind of consistently changing the way people operate. So we are working with our partners to ensure that we're, taking these lessons on board, updating content where possible. I wanted to go back to the last point though, just to mention that, when it comes to those discrete-ish sets of skills, but things to do with like emotional resilience or, well-being, those are always areas where we've sought to kind of operate with our qualifications and make sure they can be addressed, British values, safeguarding, and these things. But these kind of cross-cutting themes where we're talking about AI, safeguard, AI, sustainability, green skills, they're definitely things that we're looking to implement across the board. But yeah, sorry, kind of waffling now. But yeah, going back to the digital credentials though, I mean, we're just seeing so much more of an uptake of them, particularly because there is so much training that takes place online. People are realizing that, not everything outside of the normal education framework, not everything does need to be funded and subscribe to the same kind of regulations that maybe education has traditionally done. So we're seeing a lot more flexibility.
And what about anybody else? Anybody else seeing a shift in their world because of technology and maybe the way courses are delivered, or the type of interaction that students expect, or employers?
It has shifted quite a lot. Even with the skills bootcamp, the way it used to be, delivery used to be quite a lot of, especially with technical training. It used to be the emphasis was a lot more on who's delivering a lot of practical hands-on training compared to an online, where people used to look at online training or virtual training as, no, don't want to do this, I want to be in front of somebody. So it's a huge shift, but it changes quite a lot in the classroom as well, because having that virtual delivery mode compared to when you're in the classroom, it's a lot more difficult for the tutors to handle and to manage. And there are some rules that we set around our skills bootcamp, which is you have to make sure that your cameras are always on, making sure that the mic is always mute. So there has been a huge shift, and the beauty of it and the good part about it post-pandemic is mainly around people are able to join sessions from anywhere in the world. So we do work with some employers that they've got branches, one in Manchester, Birmingham, Dubai, Saudi, and so on, and they're all at the same kind of, although they're not in the same time zone, but they're all joining the same session and collaborating with one another. And that is a massive shift and change, which, before COVID, this was not possible, where now it is. And we're seeing a large number of providers that they're really opting more towards live sessions with a tutor led rather than face-to-face.
On that point, though, there are some countries that don't really like 100% online because they worry about the quality of what's being delivered and whether you can really teach the skills and all of that. So, Isaac, when you, because I think you're just about to chip in, but when you answer that, perhaps you might want to think about that, because you work in 130 countries, and there are some places, for example, which are really difficult for CII to get full recognition, because really what you want to be able to do with a chartered certificate is to turn up and gain recognition without carrying a portfolio with all your individual certificates in, right? So,
Of course.
and the same is true of any online courses that you've got. They're not always accepted in all 130 countries. So, how is CII coping with all that?
Well, I suppose to start with, if I address the initial point, which was around technology, what we've found post-COVID was it's affected us in two ways. We've had to be quite responsive in terms of how we deliver not only our content, but also our assessment. And that allowed us to introduce things like remote invigilation for our examinations, basically, so individuals can now sit exams from a quiet room, from their house, and so on and so forth, rather than going on to a centre as they would have had to do previously. But of course, we recognise that technology is still a challenge in certain parts of the world. So we've not exclusively moved on to a purely online service. We still have physical centres across the world where individuals can go along to actually sit their examinations. But we're also, from I suppose our content perspective, we're also seeing an increase in demand for topics around insurtech, fintech, AI, and so on and so forth, and how they're affecting the world of insurance and financial planning. So a lot of countries, particularly emerging markets, where, say, for example, car insurance boxes are no longer new for us, but in a lot of markets, these are new things, and they have their own challenges that, of course, they will need to be able to get to grips with. So our content is also evolving to be able to allow those countries to be able to, I suppose, upskill professionals in those subjects and take that forward. But like you say, generally, it's generally not a one-size-fits-all solution. So you need to be flexible enough to be able to provide a service here and provide another type of service here. It's about understanding that market and what it's going to resonate more than really expecting everybody to be on the same page.
One of the things that we love is, collaboration, partnerships, working together wherever you are in the world, because, we will learn from each other. We're all friends in this world, right? So there is that opportunity to kind of work it together, but also there's that difference which makes us unique in our own spaces. And I guess, online activity means that actually there can be more players in the world of training and skills, and so competition can be a bit tougher as well, but that doesn't stop people working together and collaborating to create even better things. I just want to draw the session to a close. I mean, I've got one more question before we do that, though, and it's the question that I always ask, which is so what? It's about impact, right? So it's what difference are you actually making in the world? Alan, City and Guilds have got some really good courses, but so what? And I'm really being devil's advocate now. So, if anyone has any kind of evidence or supporting information around what actual impact you're making. So, for example, with a business, if you're delivering programs for a business, what does it do to their bottom line? What does it do to their business in terms of efficiency and expenses and all of that? So I'm going to start with you, Alan, because I know that City and Guilds do look at this on an annual basis and look at impact. I'm not expecting you to quote your impact book, but if there's a little snippet you can give us, that'd be great.
Thanks, Jonathan. So, I mean, just one of the kind of stats in my head is about 76% of City and Guilds learners have progressed into further education or employment. And that's one of the leading stats from our impact report. So I will actually pop that, if it's okay, into the chat, because I think it's a really good question that you've asked around the so what, and that's exactly what that is addressing. So we may have fantastic relationships, great customers, really fantastic impact on a kind of macro level, but being able to kind of really show the true impact is what that report is all about. So I would encourage anyone on SkillsFest to take a look at that and understand a little bit more about the wider impact of City and Guilds than what you may know us for in terms of qualifications. But I will pop that in the chat now. But hopefully that statistic just kind of shows you that it is making a difference at all different levels and providing that longer term sustainable impact that I think we're all looking for.
I think the other thing is I always look at it from a kind of pitching perspective, right? So your last customer, if you can demonstrate that you saved them £4 million because the people were highly skilled and that skilled talent used energy effectively or whatever, as a direct result of the training you provided, then it becomes an investment, right? For me, skills is always an investment. It's never a cost, but so many businesses look at training as a hassle, it's a cost, it's a burden, but actually then they moan that they can't get the right people to do the right jobs in the right way and that they're wasting too much and all of that. And it's that economic argument, right? So as well as all the nice soft things that individuals get, I'm really just trying to put out there that actually skills is an investment opportunity. You're creating capital talent, and if you were to invest in a machine, because it made your plant smarter, why not invest with people that can be smarter and quicker and all of that? So I guess that's the point I was just trying to make there. So look, I'm just going to give a quick whiz around the room. And Alan, it just so happens you're first on my dial. It would just be good if you give us 15 minutes. Why 15 seconds? Not 15 minutes. We haven't got time.
You've had enough already. I mean, exactly. You don't need another 15.
No, please. Alan, just 15 seconds on why people should connect with you.
Sure. And I think it's to find out more about how City and Guilds can work differently, to understand about different solutions and create sustainable solutions. I think that's why you should contact me to find out more.
Thank you. Angel, same question to you.
Is to create the best way to, or the main reason that they should be connecting with us is to create that employer-led or sector requirement-led big camps where it's short, sharp, we deliver exactly what the demand is, and with a over 90% achievement rate, as Alan said, that speaks highly in terms of the volume of the learners that we've been training. So yeah, definitely here to support.
Excellent, thank you. Isaac?
Really, it's to find out how we can support you in upskilling your team, developing a plan for your industry, and of course, really helping you to be self-sufficient within your own markets, so on and so forth.
Thank you so much indeed. Actually, you raised a really good point, which is about the kind of shifting in jobs, the different types of jobs that are now emerging. And there is this stat that I always throw in that 75% of kids in secondary and primary education today will do jobs in 20 years that are not yet there. And we don't even know what they look like, right? So we're all in the business of trying to give people enough skills to get on in life. And that's really quite difficult to do, particularly as these new technologies come along, because just as we all got used to ChatGPT, another one came along, right? There are buses that queue up at the moment. So, I think we're, as mature brains, we find it a little hard to stoke some of this stuff up. It can be a challenge, right? So I think we've all got to learn these new modalities of learning and change what we're doing all the time. So really great that you mentioned that, Isaac. Thank you. Jacob, over to you. You're next on my dial. That leaves you, Amarjit, as the last one.
Yes.
So you've got plenty of time to think about
the So why should we target schools? Why should they contact us? Well, because having been a teacher, having been a trainer, basically CPD has very little impact because there's no proper follow-up. With this system, every single time you're learning something new, you have to deploy it, you have to evidence it. You learn something new, deploy it, evidence. And that goes on for the whole year, for the 12 modules. So the schools see an instant impact. They see an actual change, a visible change, the moment they start that CPD, which is exceedingly, for those of you who've been in education, I mean, you know how exceedingly rare that is. So that would be like one of our good selling point.
Wonderful, Jacob. Thank you so much. And last but never least, Amarjit.
Thanks, Jonathan. I guess it's going to sound a bit similar to Alan, given that we both work in the world of accreditation, but really it's about you come to OCN London for, again, solutions-based. We're all about solutions, looking at different forms of accreditation. And we're not afraid to work with, new small projects and be there from the start to work as a kind of incubator and partner.
Brilliant. Thank you very much indeed. That just leaves me to say a huge thanks to each of you. So to Jakob and to Alan and Angel and Amarjit and Isaac, really good to have you and your organisation showcase the brilliance that you do. I'm a massive fan of skills. I think, too many people go down the academic route, and we need to do more on skills, because skills is about jobs and skills is about life itself and getting on in life. So for me, vocational training is a first choice, every time choice, never a second choice, bad choice. I'm Jonathan Ledger from the Department for Business and Trade. Don't forget, we've got another Skills Fest session this afternoon, starting at 4 p.m. So we'll have different speakers, different subjects, different themes. So do pop along. We've got our final session in the morning, 8 a.m. For those of you that can stretch and reach out of bed in the morning, grab a cup of coffee, come and join us for that last session. Actually, we've got a whole string of chartered bodies in the morning, so it's going to be Charter Fest tomorrow rather than Skills Fest, and I'm really looking forward to it because they're very diverse in their own nature. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks to all our speakers again, and have a good afternoon. Take care.
Thank you. Likewise.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for setting us up, John.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.